bird on a tree.
Greetings, Glitter Gang. Happy Thursday. It's 2 o'clock on Thursday, June 18th, and you're watching Kathryn Scraps Live. Yay! It's Thursday. How's it going, everyone? Today we'll be working on the Echo Park school version of the Catch a Tag Remastered album. We finally made it to page 2 last week. It's the longest page 1 in the history of the universe. So we finally made it to page 2. We're going to be working on page 2, and I assume only page 2. I do want to let you know that I and Mr. Lifeguard are both unwell. I don't want to say we're sick. It's not that serious. But we are unwell. We've been feeling poorly since last night. We got sick in the same way at the same time. It's definitely food related. It's definitely related to something we ate. And so I went back and forth on doing the show. We'll see how I do this afternoon. And then I may not have a show tonight. It just may not, depending on how things go. But we'll see. I'll let you know at the end of the show today, this afternoon, as in this show, whether or not I'll be back. So, but yeah, we are not doing well. Neither of us slept much at all. So cool. So cool. I just love it. Just love it. All right. So let's see. Let's say hi to everyone. I was late getting to the show today, and the show started on time, but the pre-show did not start at the time it normally starts. So, first comment is from Alan Gilbert. So Alan gives the first commentation. Says happy glitter day, which I love that. Thursday is glitter day. Fantastic. Carol Joan, yay, it's Thursday. Yes, yay. I'm glad we made it to Thursday. You never know these days, but we got here. Beverly Oliver says good day to everyone. Hello to Sandra and to Kathryn. Happy Thursday, everyone. Happy glitter day. Hi to Priya and Vicky. Kimberly Brown. Deb is here as well. So is Donna. And Sally Ann Snickerbocker. Not her real name. Not her real name. All right. So here we are. I got new notebooks because, I try to use a different notebook every single time I have to write something down because I have a problem. In fact, here's a notebook that somehow escaped the notebook drawer, just hanging out by itself. All right. This is my favorite kind of notebook, by the way. I know I have tons of notebooks, but these Rhodia dot pads are the ones that I like the best. But I got these, which are also dot matrix pads, and they're a little bit bigger. See, I'm trying to find something smaller than that giant grid pad I have, but like bigger than this. So I'm looking at this, but as you can probably see, it's very difficult to see the grid. So like I'm gonna just put them. Well, I guess you can't see this grid either. So I guess that's a you problem, not a me problem. So yeah, this grid is not as easy to see as this grid for me, but this grid is like a medium gray on white, and this is a light gray on cream. So I think that's the issue. But so next time I need to use a notebook, there's new notebooks in rotation. Am I ever going to use a notebook until it's done? I actually have a couple notebooks that are almost done. So yeah, I have in the past used like this one. This one, when I was done with the page and didn't need it anymore, I tore it out. You can see it's almost dead. But then I also have like scribbled the cat remastered inserts all over this from the last one, from the last catch a tag. So here we go. All right. So yeah, maybe I'll tidy my notebook drawer. Not at this moment, but later. All right. So Kimberly Brown says I have notebook and pen issues. Oh my gosh. You would think with the way I buy notebooks that I'm like up here journaling a storm, just planning things all the time, just without end, forever and ever. But it's just not the situation. That's just not what's going down. The reason I'm messing with these tape rolls is the cleaners came yesterday and they put my 2 tape rolls in one stack, and now I can't remember. Now I cannot remember how I had them. So it's just, my life is really difficult. It's just really hard. Maybe you should decorate a new notebook for each project. Well, I want to do is I do want to decorate those ones that have the clear cover because I want them to be cute when I pick them up. So I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do. But yeah, like you would think that I'm, Alexander Pope with all the notebooks that I'm collecting, but That's just not the case. It's just not the case that I am Alexander Pope. So, yeah. What can you do? And if you don't know who Alexander Pope is, that can be your random piece of information that you learned today from the show. One of the most famous diarists of all time, as in people who keep diaries, from the 17th century. So, but even other authors at the time always made reference to him always sitting around scribbling. And why he's important is because he was alive at the time of the Great London Fire, where like the city of London burned down. And he wrote all about it in his diary. So we know kind of like everything that happened with that and the aftermath and all of that from his diary. He wrote other stuff, but he's mostly famous for diaries. All right. I mean, I guess he wrote some poetry. Who knows? Okay. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you. I always say please don't judge other people because I've been doing this for 11 years and it takes a long time, to get to this technology level. But you thought about a pandemic journal? That would be interesting. It would just be a lot of entries of me being like, I'm still at home. I'm still at my house, everyone. So Candy finished her Catch a Tag Remastered album and she was going to post pictures, but she procrastinated. So there's no pictures. So everyone go on Facebook and be like, Candy, where are the pictures? What's going on? Just send her tons of messages. No, I'm just kidding. Please don't message Candy. Yeah, the isolating did. Although I was thinking about, you could write about like, if you have the opportunity during isolation to be like improving yourself, like with my trying to read 52 books in 52 weeks thing, for example, I could be talking about how isolation changed that and writing down my thoughts on books that I'm reading. But, I'm not. So, because I don't journal. I mean, I journal on scrapbook pages and that's about it. Okay. All right, here we go. So, where we left off last week is we made this page, which turned out really cute. Conversations with myself during pandemic. That sounds like the title of an upcoming literary fiction novel. So, like look for that in 2021. Okay. Today is a good day to learn something new. See, and you already learned about Alexander Pope keeping a diary, so you already learned something. And then how we made this page is we took the border strip page and we just kind of rearranged it a little bit so that it would look like we layered a bunch of papers on each other. So one thing I'm trying to decide as I look at this, we can work this out together, is I feel like this torn edge, because it's on a stripe and because that stripe has a lot of white, that torn edge is getting a little bit lost. There's a couple ways we can fix this, but they mainly all boil down to the same thing, which is we can trace the torn edge with a pen. What I'm thinking is I want to trace it with a light gray pen because I don't think I want it as stark as black, but I definitely want it to stick out more than it does. So I do have a light gray pen in my like little cheapy pen set that I told you guys about a while back that I found on Amazon. I think it's for bullet journaling, which I don't do, but whatever. A pen is a pen is a pen. I mean, that's actually not even accurate. There are all kinds of different pens with different uses. So the issue here is that once I start, I can't stop. If I decide to trace this, I just have to trace it all the way. So this is one of those things that you have to be really sure you want to commit to it. If you want to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it and then you're going to decide if you like it, and if you don't, then don't do it in yours. All right, so already there's a couple things. This paper is pulling a lot of ink into itself. So it's kind of a blurry line, which is not the end of the world. But I wish it was crisper. And then also this pen is a lot darker gray than you would think. So I'm going to start with the circles. Okay. Don't try and be perfect. Try and be quick. Find the speed where you can be the fastest and still have some degree of accuracy. Because you're not going to get... The faster you move, the straighter your lines will be. I know that seems counterintuitive, but it's the case. All right, so I'm already liking it better. So this was definitely worth doing. So now I'm gonna go through and finish. All right. Okay, so that looks way better. That looks way better. So I'm glad I took the time to do that. This is one of those things where you can look at mine, you can look at yours, and you can say, do I want to do that? The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing with school memories. All right, and again, that is an improvement. All right, there we go. So that helps a lot. I feel better. Okay, so the only thing we have to do to finish off the front of page 2 or page 2A, which is what this is we have to decorate down here. So I'm going to set that there. We're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to look at the cards. I think that's what we did back here. I can't even remember because it was like 10 weeks ago. Yeah, we're going to make a little vignette with the cards. All right. So where are we going to go? Where are we going to go? What are we going to do? Am I going to put a bus on the last page? Well, it's becoming a thing now, right? Like we have a bus on all the pages. So now what am I going to do? I made a pattern. It's like that stupid bike in my sister's wedding album. All right, look. We'll just see what happens with the bus. But we probably can find a bus for the last page. And then we'll just pretend like we did that on purpose to be our through line for the entire book. Anyways, but what I want to do is make something cute. So I kind of like this tassel is worth the hassle for the last page. By the way, all of you who are following along, I have the utmost sympathy for you because this is taking me so long. I don't even know what my problem is. Now we could use this to kind of tie in to the front page. I'm just like, Do we have all of these as patterns? Could we like make a big one of this is what I'm thinking. So like by taking, you got like taking this and then like making this go across it, and then you're I mean, maybe adding like a fourth thing in, and then we could put the little that page on top of it. Look, isn't that beautiful? Aren't you like mesmerized by how good I am at crafting? Or you could just print it bigger. Do you not want to make one? Oh, I'm sorry, I hit the microphone while I was scratching my shoulder. I apologize. Are you trying to help me do less work? Are you trying to help me? You're like, Kathryn, get a grip. Get a grip. You don't have to make everything so complicated. Don't be Avril Lavigne. See, that's a real fresh reference. That's a real fresh reference. Okay. I am going to make it complicated. Sorry, it's what's happening. I like to Franken things. It's true. It's true. And I like to hang out with you while we Franken things. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so the easiest thing I think for me to do is to just cut myself a piece of scrap paper that's the size of this. Like whatever I want my finished thing to be, and I'll just layer on top of it. And I think it's 6 by something weird, so I'm gonna have to look it up. Yeah. It's 6 by 8 and 5/8, because I think I was like, you can put 2 photo mats on it or something. It was like my idea, but you know, whatever. I like when I plan stuff and then I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. It's just like, why would I do it? All right, so let me cut a scrap and we'll go from there. Okay, so I've got my scrap. I'm just gonna throw the book on the floor for a minute. I'm trying to decide right now, when I started the show, when I was setting up the broadcast, I'm gonna ink this because I don't want any white to show on the edges. So I'm gonna ink it pretty heavily so that I know that even if I don't get perfectly to the edge, that there won't be any white showing. And I'm going to ink the front and the back, which just ensures that I get the edge perfect. But okay, so you know how last week the camera was doing that stuttering thing? It was doing that when I was setting up the broadcast today after it would not turn on because it was pretending like it was on vacation. And it's like, look, you only have to work like a few hours a week. It's not like I'm running the camera ragged, but whatever. I restarted the computer and everything worked fine, but now I'm just like, You know, I wonder if its days are numbered. And if I should I mean, it's going to be hard to track down the same camera. So now I'm like, should I upgrade and get a better camera? This camera is only about 18 months old, so that's not a great length of time to last. But I don't know. Okay. Yeah, maybe I should check if it's under warranty. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is turn this into a raggedy notebook edge. All right. And so the first step is I'm going to rip off this solid blue line at the top. And when you're ripping, here's a tip about ripping. If you rip towards yourself, then you'll see the white. If you rip away from yourself, then you won't see the white. So if you want to see the white core, rip towards yourself. And if you don't want to see the white core, rip away from yourself. Yeah, we have checked all its connections. We've unplugged it, deleted its drivers, you know, reinstalled its drivers. We've done all the like obvious stuff. So I don't know what's wrong with it. All right, now I have taken the piece. I've got it all set. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over to the back. I'm going to draw a line. And I want the line to correspond to the red line that's on the front. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a pencil. I'm going to hold it up to my monitor so I'm looking through the light. And I'm just going to kind of sketchily draw where that red line is. Okay, so now that I know where the line is, just generally, I'm going to go and I'm going to determine where I'm going to put my holes. I'm going to use a 3/8 inch crocodile, I think, because I don't want it to be as big as, well, let's do this. Let's see which one of these 1/8 or 3/8 is closer. So 3/8 is slightly bigger, but not that much bigger. So I'm going to go ahead and go with 3/8. Is it the same philosophy with cutting, like using a trimmer? That's interesting. It probably depends on what kind of a trimmer it is. What about the teeth on a binding machine? Okay, so the binding machine's teeth are too far apart for what I want, I think. And I think they might also be too big. Because I think I'll go get the bind it all. Or the cinch. I'll get the cinch. Because I think they're farther apart than I want, and more importantly, I think they're bigger than I want. But when teaching kids to write, the red line is the bottom to help them to stop. Oh, interesting. I had no idea. Okay, so let's get a scrap. Don't I have a torn binder punch? I don't have a torn binder punch. I have this one, which makes like a really clean edge. So I wouldn't get that raggedy, like torn out look that I want. So I'm trying to think of how to get the raggedy, torn out look that I want, because I don't have a punch that does it. So I'm looking at this, and here on the side you can see how far apart the holes are, because this is where you like put the pieces to put the rings on. Although it looks like they're a lot closer on this thing. All right, I'm just gonna chomp it. I'm just gonna chomp it. So, okay, so with cutting and tearing, if you had a rotary trimmer, for example, that's a circular blade, and the way that works, yeah, these are just bigger than I want is the main thing. That's the main thing. That's my issue, is that they're bigger than I want. So if you had a rotary trimmer which shears against a straight edge, it's always going to be shearing against a straight edge, regardless of which direction you go. So it's always going to be cutting like down, I would say. But like other kinds of trimmers, like the one on the Fiskars, might be different. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're gonna get just like any ruler and make lines however far apart I want, which I think in this case we'll do like a centimeter. So I'm just gonna make a mark every centimeter. Excuse me. Okay. Okay. All right, so now I'm gonna, wherever they hit, I'm gonna just get them with the 3/8 inch hole punch. I'm gonna try and go. Hello, I'm back. And almost done. Okay. All right, so now we have to tear them. So I'm gonna see if I just, yeah, I'm just gonna pull with the hook that I use to remove tape backing. I'm just gonna pull. And again, this is something where we don't need to spend all day on this. Just go quick. Okay. So now, ooh, Ellen, thank you. Ellen got her tape tearing tool today. I'm gonna place the order for those on Monday. So if you don't have it ordered and you want it, and you want to be sure you get it, then place the order by Monday. And there's a link in the video description to the tool. Okay. So, I don't know, Fran. Did you order yours? Did you order yours? Gotta check your PayPal. And T for 2. And today and tomorrow are the last day to order T for 2 and have half your purchase go to campaign 0. So that's still today and tomorrow. You can still do that. All right. So now we have our edge. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this next to this. Yeah. So we'll do like this and this. And then we'll do like that. And then we'll do like that. Okay. So we want to keep these ones small. We want to keep the strips small because we want it to be mostly journaling. Mostly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt it and then tape it to the back with my tape, my drafting tape. And I'm just going to make sure I see it around all 3 edges. Okay. And I'm just going to tape it right here and right here. And when you do this, you don't need to tilt it that much. Like smaller tilts look a little more natural and a little less, oh, she planned to make this messy. You guys are the best for hanging in with my gross coughing and batteries dying. Okay, so that's number 1. So then I'm going to cut like 1.5 inches on this off of this. Because we don't need that much. And other pieces can be smaller. All right. So with this one, I'm going to cut off just like 1 inch should be plenty. All right, I think maybe we can skip the yellow line and just do these three, because, or would we rather skip maybe we skip the black. Maybe we don't need that one. Yeah, let's get rid of that one. Okay. All right, so now I just have to figure out how I want to stick everything down. And I think I'm going to start by, I'll put down the yellow at the top and give myself like an inch and a half of that. And then these three I'll stick to each other, and then I'll just arrange this on top of this one. I think that's the best way to go about it. So that's how I'll start. So just 1 second. I'm gonna cough, so I'm gonna turn off the microphone. Back. Ta-da! All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off, I'm going to build this all on camera, so I'm going to use the smaller trimmer. And go from there. All right. So I'm going to do 1.5 inches of the yellow. Sorry about that, everyone. Ugh. I'm telling you, we're not having a good day around here. I'm gonna put tape on the top. And on the sides, and then on the individual pieces, I'm gonna put tape on the bottom edge. And that way they'll be taped all the way around, and I can just cut the sides. All right, so what have you all been up to? I finished book 45 of my 52 books in 2020, and when I finished book 44, I finished page 16,700, and it was page 167. So I had read 100 pages per day up until that point in 2020. Yay, Sandra! Alright, so I don't need these anymore. They were just temporary to help me kind of lay it out. Now, if I wanted to keep that up for the rest of the year, I would have to read 20,000 more pages, so I doubt I will. But, you know, I got there at any rate. I'm sure my average for the year will end up being much tinier. Alright, so I'm going to peel the tape from the sides and the top. This is the top. Fran's in audible jail still. Aw, poor Fran. Poor Fran. Alright, so once again, I just need to put tape on the bottom of this one, and it's actually already got a line of tape on the bottom, so all I have to do is just peel the tape. Oh, I need to put tape on the top of this one too, because it's not, yeah. Alright, that's okay, I'll figure it out. I'll get it figured out. Alright, so this one I need to ink the top edge before I stick it down. It's crazy that Fran is still in jail. I know, you would think Amazon would want their money. Alright, so with this one, I'm going to just kind of line it up and then skew it. So I'm going to get it straight, and then I'm going to tilt one edge up. Alright. Then same with this next red one, we're going to do, there's already a line of tape on one edge, so we're going to do a line of tape at the top. So, but more likely what's going to happen is once I get to 52 books, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm only reading like book club books for the rest of the year. Now it's time to watch YouTube all day long. Oh, they have your money, but you don't have your credits. Ew. Oops, gotta ink. And then with this one, I'm gonna just kind of line it up. And I'm gonna just try and make it straight, because then that blue one will look crooked. So now all I have to do is stick this one down, and I'm going to ink this edge just a little. I'm not trying to make it look like crazy distressed or anything, but just want to give it a little bit of framing. And then I'm going to put tape just right along the top. This book is above your pay grade. What do you mean? Is it too hard? Is it too hard? All right, then I'm going to peel this tape off. And then I'm going to peel this line off. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Let's do some philosophizing right now. I know you guys love it when we do that. When you look at your own stuff, you are much more critical than when you look at stuff other people make. Because when you look at stuff other people make, you're looking for what's beautiful in it and what's you can take inspiration from and that sort of thing. And when you look at your stuff, all you see is mistakes. So your art seems less good to you than it probably is, and other people's art seems better to you than it probably is. And so you need to just be gentle with yourself. And you need to look at your stuff the way you would look at other people's stuff, okay? And then I'm just gonna stick this down. So just pretend like it's not yours and think, okay, well, you know, if Kathryn made this, would I like it? And you probably would. You probably would. So you gotta be kind to yourself and you gotta love yourself. And yes, if you see things that you wish were different so you could improve them, that's good to know, because then you won't do that again in your next book, and you're always learning, because and then you can learn from your mistakes, but you're probably making fewer mistakes than you think you are, and I'm probably making more mistakes than you think I am. So yeah, when you look at other people's art, you feel good. You know, it makes you feel good. You just need to practice looking at your art and thinking if that it's good too. So, you know, when I look at a page and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so cute, I can't stand it. It's not because I'm full of myself. You know, I mean, I am. Obviously, a certain amount of narcissism is required to even do this as a job, you know, but it's also just me acknowledging that I recognize that I like this better than a lot of other stuff I've made, you know, so that even when I look at all my stuff, there's like a scale of how much I like it and how good I think it is. So All right, so now I'm going to cut all the edges off, and when I flip it over, that's going to be our page that we're going to decorate. So let's see how we did. There it is. It's cute. And we have these things that we can put together in another part of the book. You maybe use them as little borders, embellishments. I might keep those around for a bit. All right, so now I'm going to go all the way around the outside. With the black ink. Okay, and then we're just gonna go with the tape all the way around the back because it's just one piece now to stick it down and put it on our book. And I'm gonna use 1/2" tape just because this has magnets underneath it. And I still have a ton of 1/2" tape to go through anyways. A lot of paper packs don't have fun embellishments, that's true. And I always want a lot of embellishments, you know. And big ones, a lot of paper companies make the embellishments too small, in my opinion. That's one thing I like about digital, is I can make the embellishments bigger than they planned for them to be. Because I think they do make them too tiny. And it's kind of weird when you consider that most people are working on a 12 by 12 page and we're usually working smaller. So if we think they're too tiny, then they're probably way too tiny for people doing 12 by 12. So now I can bring the book back. Peel the tape from the magnets. And then just stick this down. Just gonna close it and burnish it. Okay. And then on this page I use the green on the tab, and on this page I want to use the green on the tab. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make enough tabs to also make this tab green, and then all the tabs are just gonna be green. All right, so before I forget this, so we're gonna make all the tabs. Tabs are 1 7/8 by 7/8. Yeah, that's what the tabs are. They're 1 7/8 by 7/8. All right. So I need to find a green polka dot scrap that we can use, because we need to make 4 more. So I'm going to put the 7/8" line on that white line, because you can see I didn't quite cut this out all the way around. And then I'm going to cut the white line off. Hopefully I'll be able to get it off. There we go, close enough. Okay. Gonna just trim off this last little bit. There we go. All right. And now Gonna tape all the way across the back. Just gonna run a line of 3/8 inch tape at the top and at the bottom. And then I'll cut them apart. And hopefully then soon they'll be all good. Just hoping this will be big enough. Okay, so now all I'm gonna do is you know what? I'll just use my Fiskars trimmer for this. It's probably close enough. It's going to be good enough. So now we're going to make these 1 7/8 across. All right, and good. This scrap was big enough to get 4 of them. So awesome. And then what we'll do is I'm going to chomp the corners with my angle chomper, which I've been using for all of them, all the tab pieces so far, using the large angle side. The other thing that I like about digital paper, in addition to being able to change the size of embellishments, is, you know, of course, if you mess up, then you can always reprint. That's another benefit. But the other thing is that the paper is kind of always available. So, you know, I get a lot of questions. One of the most commonly asked questions I get on any YouTube video is, where do you get that paper, whatever, that you used in this book? And for a lot of them, the answer is, I mean, they sold it 6 years ago and it's gone now, you know. So, you know, with the digital paper, at least I can say, hey, they sold it 6 years ago, it's gone now, but if you really love it and you really want it, you can get buy it digitally here and have it printed at a local print shop. You know, so the paper never totally like goes out of style. All right. So let me get my scraps put away here, or at least I'm just gonna throw them on the floor. And now I'm going to bring the book back and stick these all to the tabs so that the tabs will be done, and all the tabs in the book will be the same green polka dot, so that's like a level of consistency throughout that we will have. And then what we'll do is we'll do some decor on the inside. All right, and now I'll just flip the page and we'll do these two. And we'll just pretend that we did this on purpose, you know. Like, oh yeah, of course the whole plan the whole time was always to have all the tabs be green as a unifying factor in all the album pages. Okay, so now we want to mimic just the cluster in the corner with these pieces. And so we're just going to go to, you know, we're going to go to our embellishments and see what we like. Because we don't have to do those exact 3 things if we don't want to. We could actually stick this down like it's, oh yeah, there we go. Like it's stuck to the top. So there we go. That's kind of cute. All right, let's see. If we build on that. Mistakes are proof that you're trying. See, that goes back to what I was saying earlier too. If you don't try, you don't make mistakes. But then you didn't try. Okay. Just kind of playing around with embellishments. With this apple, I want a third thing in that corner. I just don't know what I want the third thing to be. Yeah. I might cut this glue out and we'll put a glue behind the apple. Or maybe we use the light bulb on the glue. And we'll put the glue there. And we'll put the apple here. And then I just want something like right in there. You liked the lamp? Do you want to put the glue back here and the lamp back in the corner? I want something like under the lamp if I do that. Like the lamp is illuminating something. Just going through all my embellishments, see what I've got. Sometimes you just don't know what you want, and all you have to do is just like keep throwing stuff on it until you get something that you like. Sometimes there's just not really a plan. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these off, this off and this off. I'm going to put this back because with the class notes, then we have a pencil. So now we have a note theme happening. And we can kind of start drilling into that. See, once you have a theme emerging, then you can kind of then say, all right, what do I have that fits with this theme? So in this case, our theme is now notes. So we've got the notebook paper, we've got the class notes, we've got the pencils. You know, what else would we have that we could add here? Got that pencil. You know, there's not an eraser in the thing. In the embellishments. That's kind of a bummer. I like this. The question is, how do we get this to work with what we're doing? Because I could put the pencil, but the mistakes are proof that you are trying is on a grid, and then we have a notebook. So the grid on the notebook is very busy, and I don't like it as such. So we have to kind of figure out obviously I don't want to cut the whole thing out. That would be crazy. It would take forever and it would probably look bad, so it wouldn't be worth the time. We can cut out the pencil, but then if I like the words, what am I gonna, what am I gonna do? That's okay. I mean, think. go back to the, okay, yeah. See, here we have a pencil. It's pretty basic. It's just straight, 3 colors. Just need a little bit of gray, a little bit of pink, some kind of color, probably yellow. We can make a pencil. Like, it wouldn't be hard. Could make a red polka dot pencil or something like that. So let's go to our scraps. Let's see if we can franken a pencil. I know sometimes you have a great idea whose time hasn't come yet. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Scraps. All right, so this was in the scraps because it's technically a scrap from the paper. So yeah, I'm just gonna cut out the book, the apple, and the pencil, and we'll just use those as embellishments on the page. And there we go. So that's I'm gonna move the other strips from the border to the embellishment bag. So they're with the embellishments instead. I think they'll be more useful there. All right. So, okay. All right, so let's see. First things first. Let's ink this and cover it with tape on the back. Same with the class notes. And actually with the class notes, I'm going to cut the red off. All right, and then before I cut these little guys out here, I'm just gonna put tape on the back of them. Yeah, I just totally threw tape at myself. All right. So I'm going to cut out the tiny little stars as well, just in case I want them. You never know. This is the last week to read. Is this the last week to read the book? Yes. Yes. This is the last week to read the book also, the June book. So the June book is Footprints in the Sand by Mary Jane Clark, which is I don't know, like a murder on a beach at a wedding, I believe. And so I haven't read it yet. I need to get on it. I always try to strike the right balance between giving myself plenty of time to read it and not reading it so far ahead that I forget all the stuff. So, all right, so, okay. And then, so we'll be discussing that next Thursday. And that was from your selection from our theme of books with footprints on the cover. Because I threw a tantrum. I threw a tantrum. But hey, it seems like the book is pretty fun from what the feedback has been. So I'm not, it might have been a good tantrum. And I have the theme for next month as well already decided. And the 3 books for that. So I'll probably put that voting up next Thursday as well. So we can vote over the weekend and you can start reading on Monday. But I got an ad on Facebook for a subscription service called Book of the Month Club, which I think that you pay them a certain amount of money every month and you can choose one from 5 books that are their books of the month. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll just pick their July books. That'll be the theme. I'll just steal their ideas. And unfortunately, because they're all brand new books, some of them aren't even technically released yet, I wasn't able to do that. However, they have passed club's choices, so I stole their July 2019 books. So that's where the 3 books come from. Books that were popular a year ago. That's what the theme is. Books that were the hit book to have a year ago. The it books of July 2019. That's the theme. So what we're going to find out is whether or not it's worth it to be on the hype train for new releases, because maybe the books don't hold up over time. Just because they were popular in the moment doesn't mean they were, that they had staying power. So that's what we're going to find out. My guess is that we're not going to find the next Jane Eyre in there or whatever. But you never know. You never know. Although Jane Eyre is one of those books that, like, if you really think about what's going on in the book, you're like, what the heck? Jane, get out of that situation. Just run away screaming, actually. All right, I got my last star. Like, if someone should do a modern retelling of Jane Eyre, because then it would just be a horror film. One of the flip-flop books had discussion questions. Oh, that would be useful. Hopefully it's the one that we read. No, it wasn't. Of course not. So I'm not getting off that easy. I can't be like, so everyone, let's just discuss the discussion questions. And then I don't have to know anything or do any work. I mean, because I already don't know anything. So, I mean, that's not going to be too hard for me. All right. Some of the books we read did have discussion questions. If only I had noticed them. Oh well. Oh man. Every time I'm like, maybe I feel okay now. I'm like, oh no, I do not. Just like a waves. It's coming in waves. If we really want discussion questions, we should just read like Moby Dick or something. Everyone's like, Kathryn, if you pick Moby Dick, we're not reading it. Just like, it's just not happening. I don't know what you think this book club is, but it's definitely not the Whale Book Club. I took a class in college called The American Novel, which is about American novels. So, spoiler. And the professor was like, yeah, so you can't really do a class on the American novel without reading Melville. He's like, but I didn't want to torture you with Moby Dick, so we're going to read... like, I forget, I think we read that Poison Plant book. It's about this girl and her dad made her out of, well, I was just gonna, you actually loved Moby Dick? A lot of people love Moby Dick. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's considered one of the great American novels because it's crap. I did read Moby Dick. I don't remember like a ton about it in terms of, you know, plot, but I do remember a lot of the themes. But as far as the scenes that stand out, the like milking scene really stands, like I will never forget that as long as I live. So as one of the weirder scenes. I do take suggestions. So if you want to suggest something, please suggest something. You know, and because I still have August, September, October, and November to do. Call Me Ishmael is probably one of the most famous first lines of a book. And one thing I'll always remember is about Moby Dick, and this is related to the film adaptation, but in the movie, they offered the part of the captain to Orson Welles, and Orson Welles turned it down because he wanted to be the preacher instead, because he thought the preacher like sets the tone and has the most important role in an aspect. So he literally turned down the role, the main part, so he could do this. It's very brief in the movie. It's just a couple minutes, but to do the preacher. So I always remember. What's July? July is the book of the month 2019 book club choices. So you'll be voting from 3 books, and it's from 3 books that were new releases, really popular, like pop culture popular in July of 2019. So from a year ago, I can tell you what they are, because I put them in my phone. Then, all right, you will be choosing from Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, Gods of Jade and Shadow by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, and Things You Save in a Fire by Kathryn Scraps. And of those, the most popular by far is Lock Every Door, followed by Things You Save in a Fire, followed by Gods of Jade and Shadow. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. That's a pretty famous opening line. You know, I had to dissect that in humanities. Everyone does, probably. Well, I don't know now. But back in the 90s, if you took humanities, you had to dissect that line and what it meant and what Dickens is really talking about. You know, there was so much. So in terms of books where I really thought in school we were reaching for symbolism, A Tale of Two Cities is like way up there, but The Old Man and the Sea is the worst / the most, depending on how you want to think about it. Like, I will never forget having to go over all the ways that the old man is Jesus, and just being like, where are you getting this? Like, what about, you know, what on earth is kind of like, you are just pulling stuff out of thin air now. And then, so that's the one. I really rebelled at The Old Man and the Sea, and the symbolism in The Old Man and the Sea. So that's definitely one of them. But the other one that stands out to me is the golden casket, or the golden thread symbolism in A Tale of Two Cities. That one always struck me as totally made up by English teachers who wanted something to talk about. I'm like, here you have a book. Maybe Charles Dickens just wanted to write a book about the French Revolution. Like, it had just happened. Mary Gilmartin says, I love The Old Man and the Sea. It's my favorite book. Stop trashing that book, Kathryn. Look, Mary, you're allowed to like things that other people don't like. And other people not liking them shouldn't impact your liking them. If you like things, just like them. Just like them. And it's okay. I like some stuff that's objectively trash. It's all right. It's all right. Mary's just mad because I also hate The Wasteland. So she feels personally attacked by my reading preferences because I hate all her favorites. But that's why there's such a large amount of things to read. So that, because we all like different things, you know? It's okay. It's okay. What are the 3 books? Things You Save in a Fire, Gods of Jade and Shadow, and Lock Every Door. Sandra says, is it okay? Yeah. Yeah. You can like and not like whatever you want. There's no accounting for tastes. You know, just because something's a classic doesn't mean everyone who reads it is going to get out of it what there is to get out of it. Obviously, whatever place I was in when I read The Old Man and the Sea was not a place where I was able to absorb its message. Does that mean that The Old Man and the Sea is bad? Yes. Yes, it does. That is what it means. It's objectively bad if I didn't like it, and no one ever should read it. All right, so now we have to arrange our little scene down here in the bottom. The Old Man and the Sea was short. That was its redeeming quality. I mean, that is what I'll give it, except that it's so boring. You just like, it feels like it never ends. I mean, it's so, and maybe that is, look, here's what I'll say. Maybe that's the genius of the book, that it's like 50 pages and it feels like it's 500, and that's so that you can feel what it felt like for the old man to be stuck in that situation, because it's only like a day, but it just takes so much out of him, and the struggle's so real, and it's like the struggle of his life, and it's for him it's super epic. See, I can make stuff up about books too, just like an English teacher. All right, so I'm gonna I mean, that might be one of the themes, actually. The movie had Spencer Tracy and he couldn't save it. Wasn't that Anthony? Was it Anthony Quinn? I mean, he still couldn't save it, but I think it was Anthony Quinn who couldn't save it, not Spencer Tracy. But maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, so one of the, maybe some folks hate the classic because we were exposed to them as teenagers. Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff I think you can be exposed to too early. Google, who starred in The Old Man and the Sea? Oh, it was Spencer Tracy. I'm just dumb. Sorry, guys. That's fine. We all already knew it. So, Mary Gilmartin says I saw it with Anthony Quinn. Maybe there's more than one. It was Spencer Tracy. Maybe both Anthony Quinn and Spencer Tracy failed to save the book at separate times. Google, was Anthony Quinn in The Old Man and the Sea? Yeah, he was. Wow. I guess we are gonna we just made that movie twice. Both times back in back in the day, because maybe it's Anthony Quinn and Spencer Tracy's fault that it was not a more beloved novel. Well, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. But yeah. Well, thank goodness there's been multiple adaptations of this movie that we can all enjoy. And also, Mary Gilmartin and I are not going crazy, which we were concerned about. So, we're not going crazy. It was so bad they had to make it twice. Look, I read The Old Man and the Sea. We studied that in 8th grade. So my guess is 8th graders are not mature enough to get that book. You know? That's fine. Don't make 8th graders read it. Just because it's short and the language is simple doesn't mean it's for 8th graders. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't have enough time to fix the education system as well as scrapbook. But I really wish that when they were assigning the classics, they really assigned them in a way to create a love of reading. But I think that they're so stuck in this list that they made like 50 years ago, and they're all like on it, man. You know, everyone's been brainwashed that these 50 books we all have to read before we graduate high school because they're the ones. And it's like, you know, maybe they're not the ones. Maybe they're not the ones. Maybe we can give The Old Man and the Sea a break, you know? Like, I'm not saying we're all going to be reading Percy Jackson or whatever, but like, maybe think, okay, kids really like Percy Jackson. What is a classic that has the vibes of Percy Jackson? And we'll read that. You know. Okay. So, Kim says, I do love to read even though I was tortured occasionally as a kid in lit class. I still love to read. Yes, I read The Lottery in 8th grade. That is not okay. You know, that book it's a short story, I guess. The Lottery, traumatizing people since Shirley Jackson wrote it. Because they are like, oh, it's pretty simple and easy to understand. And it's like, someone just gets straight up murdered in that book. Like, and not... I read We Have Always Lived in the Castle recently. That's one of the 45 books I've read this year, which is also by Shirley Jackson. And that's another, like, what is going on with this chick? She is unhinged. So that's also by Shirley Jackson. All right. And then I also read A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay, who's a Shirley Jackson scholar. And like, when I was reading A Head Full of Ghosts, I kept thinking of Shirley Jackson books. So like, the influence was really clear in that. If you want kids to really enjoy reading, start them with Harry Potter or Percy Jackson. Yeah, don't make them read The Pearl. Stop making kids read The Pearl. If kids still have to read The Pearl, that we have a problem. Or with The Red Pony. Come on. Okay. Look, despite all that, we got a page done. So, we got a page done, all right? So, I think they still do. I'm sure they still do. I'm sure they still have to read The Pearl. Who cares about what 12-year-old cares about a guy who finds a pearl that's so big that people want to kill him. Come on. Like, no. Like, maybe this show should just be called Kathryn Destroys Literature. That would be fine. You know. Lord of the Flies is good. Because Lord of the Flies is really super interesting. I like, and in my family to this day, sometimes if everyone's talking at once, someone will still shout, "I got the conch." So teachers like to torture their students with what they had to read. I know, that's the problem. It's revenge. Teachers are just out for revenge. They're just out for revenge. It's just, that's what it is. They're like, I had to read The Old Man and the Sea and study it in college, and you're going to love it. Bev says, speaking as a teacher, I did not do that to my students. Well, maybe we should ask your students, Bev. Maybe we should ask them what they think. We should poll them. Oh, Old Yeller. Oh, where the red fern grows. Like, let's just like traumatize 4-year-old or 4th graders. let's just take some kids who are just trying to get through long division and make them read a devastating book about a bunch of dogs who get axed to death. Let's read that. Teachers do not set the curriculum. It's critics who come up with these. Yeah. And no wonder some of us just like math and science. No kidding. Well, and it's like school boards and stuff that come up with the curriculum too, right? It's like, we're all going to read these classics that we've all been reading for like 100 years, as if nothing good has been written in the last 100 years that's worth a look. I just read a book that I called A List of Cages, which some sites have it listed as middle grade, some sites have it listed as like high school, young adult. I think that's more appropriate. But I was like, this should be school reading for freshmen, you know, because the plot revolves really heavily around why you shouldn't keep every secret your friend asks you to keep. And that's a message that high schoolers need to learn, is that all secrets don't need to be kept. When I did child abuse prevention, one of the things that we had to teach teenagers all the time is that when your friend is hurting, specifically if someone's hurting your friend or if they're hurting themselves, that's a secret you don't keep, you know. And secrets are really important to teenagers. This is a lesson that has to be like drilled into them repeatedly, you know, is that not every secret should be kept. And this book did it like real short little book that gets that point across very clearly. You know, so I messaged the person who took my job when I left and told them about it, and they're gonna look into it for maybe adding it as a recommendation. So but that's the kind of thing that, you know, what we learn, and now we're getting really deep here, but like how you become wise, this is what I believe, that how you become wise is through reading, to a lesser extent through film, to a lesser extent through television, you know, but experiencing other people's stories, you know, however you experience other people's stories, and learning about how other people feel about things, and maybe how you feel about things that you didn't even realize how you felt about something until you read this story that made you think about it. And so that's what I'm looking for when I'm going to call a book great. And I think that there are people who wrote a long time ago where you're still going to get that. I think Shakespeare is an example of this. You know, stuff people were wrestling with in some of those stories, particularly in the poems. People still wrestle with that. You know, people still wrestle with that. But people wrestle with new stuff now, too. So we have to I think we have to make sure we're capturing all of the human experience as it was, is now, and could be. And that's why I don't think people should have to read The Old Man and the Sea. So, how about the Chronicles of Narnia? I read all of those. I read all the Chronicles of Narnia. Like the Silver Chair and I read all of them, I think, all the way. Those are heavily symbolic and heavily allegorical. The author, C.S. Lewis, did that on purpose, and, you know, he makes no bones about it. It's very clear that that was an intention. You know, that was on purpose, deliberate. I don't have a problem with symbolism. I don't have a problem with heavy symbolism. You know, it can be, that's going to be in a lot of books. That's not why I don't like The Old Man and the Sea. I just don't like The Old Man and the Sea that much. It is what it is. You know, some books just don't hit you right. They just don't hit you right. Okay, so now that I've once again, you know, talked about how there are works of modern literature that I just don't care about at all, or great works of literature that Kathryn doesn't care about, part 203, but mainly The Old Man and the Sea and The Wasteland. Mainly those two. So we have finished this page. This is page style A. I'll be banned on YouTube, I know. Oh, and I would read The Old Man and the Sea 10 times before I would read The Quest for the Holy Grail once. So that just gives you like where the range is. The range of things Kathryn hates about books, or books Kathryn hates. Like there's a wide gap between The Quest for the Holy Grail and The Old Man and the Sea. Because I would rather read The Old Man and the Sea 10 times than read The Quest for the Holy Grail once. So there you go. All right. So here is page A2. It's completed. Today is a good day to learn something new. Not really. I don't feel like we learned anything. Oh, well, no, we learned you still know about Alexander Pope keeping a diary. And then we have class notes, and there's a spot for journaling. We have the 2 photos there, and then of course, you know, you pull up the tag, and there's 2 more photos underneath. Or if you want to put journaling underneath, an enlargement underneath, cool pattern paper underneath, whatever you want to put under there. I'm also not a huge Monty Python fan. But that, I don't know. I mean, I don't love a lot of comedy, you know. So that could just be me. Fran's like, what's going on? Oh no, this shifted and it tore the page. Oh well. Sorry, now I'm offending a whole new crop of people. So when we come back tonight, we're going to work on the page style B and the folder as well. So, and I think I will come back tonight. So, you know, I think I'll be back. I think I can hack it. I can make it. So I'm going to put a Post-it down so it doesn't keep damaging it. And then when we come back tonight, we'll figure out what we're going to do with that. And work on the inserts. So I shall return at 9 p.m. Eastern USA time. And we will start with, I think what we'll do is we'll do page B2 and the insert for B2. And then we'll work on the folder after we get this done. So that's the order we'll do things in. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time at 9 p.m. Eastern USA time tonight, which is 5 hours from now. So whatever time it is where you are, I'll be back in 5 hours. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Remember to pre-order the tape tearing tool if you want one before the end of the weekend, and that today is the last day to order the T for 3 album basics guide and have 50% of the profits go to Campaign Zero. Remember to stay hydrated, stay safe, stay active, and go start reading our July book for book club, which is The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. Bye now.